When I think about my life, I think that I can look at pictures and kind of determine what's most important to me. And so I'm flipping through my cell phone and I'm thinking about what things make me me. And during this time of COVID-19 and hanging out at home, I think about this as an opportunity, not just to look at old pictures, but also to kind of figure out the person that I want to be. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Even old people my age have dreams of becoming a different person. Like, I'm one of those people who always like the first day of school because you can kind of reinvent yourself, put on new clothes, do something new to your hair, and kind of become the person you always wanted to be at school as opposed to the person you were last year. And so instead of watching like endless YouTube videos about coronavirus or about what things I can do to have more fun or what other people are doing in quarantine and how life is treating them, I think I have a suggestion, not just for you guys, but for me as well. I know it's kind of corny, but I think we need to really make sure that during this time we grow. All right. And so I know, UV, we grow. I get it. But growth is so important. First of all, I love plants. If you've ever heard me talk about wanting to grow my garden, that is something I'm currently working on right now. So I've been mad into growing things, whether it's these tomatoes that I'm trying to get right or my little young basil plants. I've decided to make it my business to grow food for my family. So here are the 3 points that I want you to hold on to in this video. And honestly, throughout this entire time that we've got to shelter in place or stay at home or, do the social distancing thing, I'd like you to think about growing intellectually, like really make it your business. The fact of the matter is, your brain is indeed a muscle, and you have to do hard work and actually painful work. Yes, I've said it. You've got to do work that is painful, that you don't want to do in order to build physical muscles and mental muscles. So, the case I'm going to make for growing intellectually is that yes, this is still a math video, and yes, there will be math work, and yes, this is not just a pep talk. I'm going to ask you to do the work I assign. I'm going to ask you to try, to at least think about it. It's not going to be hard. I know you got your own schoolwork to do, but I need you to keep doing things that you don't like because that's going to help you get stronger intellectually. Now, personal growth is kind of cool because you get to determine how this works. You need to decide what that thing that is most important to you is, what mountain you want to climb, what goal you set for yourself. And then you need to write it down. Write down that you're going to do X, Y, Z, learn a new language, whatever the thing is, become your best self, whatever that is. Write it down. Tell somebody. If you can, write it down in the comments what you've decided. Or if it's too personal, write down that you have decided to work on something personally. Make that a choice. And the final thing I want you to work on, or rather the final way I want you to consider growing, is to help someone else to grow. Okay. So that does not mean telling somebody off or telling somebody about themselves. It's not the time or the place. What I'm talking about is maybe teaching a little brother or a little sister or a little cousin or whoever you're close to in your home. Yes, you grow when you help somebody else to grow. When you sit down with your little cousins or your friends or whoever you have access to that's younger than you or that could benefit from you, when you sit down and you make a point of teaching them something. Okay, not just something, I actually want you to teach them math. So to me, math is like traveling to a foreign country, right? You're somewhere you've never been before, and maybe it's beautiful, or maybe you hate it, or maybe it's awesome, or maybe it's terrible. But the one thing you want to be able to do is speak the language, even if it's not like the best language. Why do you want to speak the language? Because you need to get through that situation or get through that place or be able to at least have the best experience possible. Sometimes I think some of you get to your math class and you don't exactly speak the language. Sometimes it's kind of cool. Something funny might happen. You might kind of understand part of it, but then sometimes it's not cool. And because of that not cool moment, it keeps you from missing some things. Like, let's go back to my imaginary fantasy other country kind of analogy situation, right? So you're in this other country, you don't speak the language, but you need to get to where you're going, some other place. And the only way to get to that place is through this country, through this place that you don't speak the language. It's going to be hard to get through. I literally do think of math like that. Like, even if you don't love it, even if it's not your favorite, learn the language so it gives you access to other places that you want to go. So how should you do this? That's a lot more than two. Let's try.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So if you got a little person in your house, teach them how to do math, count, whatever it is. And if there's somebody older in your family, well, help them with their homework. If the kid doesn't have any homework, then try to have a positive attitude, unlike this mama here, and try to teach them their multiplication tables. I know it sounds corny, but if you know that you had trouble with your multiplication tables, or it took a while for you to learn them, help somebody else. Help a kid in your household. It's also good practice for you. So what's next, and where's the math? I am so glad that you asked. So here is the math, and here's the first step to grow intellectually. I'm going to give you a problem, and this is a problem I want you to solve. And it's hard because you've never seen this before. The heck is base R? And so we're going to talk about it. Let's first read it, and then we'll talk about it. So check it out. Base R. If 86 and base 10, we know what base 10 is. That's like we have base 10 blocks or something. It's like the way we count. That's what we do. If 86 and base 10 is represented as 321 in something called base R, what is base 10 representation of the number 123 in base R? So this is your problem. I'm going to give you 2 weeks till the next time I make a video to solve it. If you solve this problem, I'm going to make sure Miss Amy sends you a gift. I'm talking to her and I'll get it together. I mean it. I really, really do mean it. So here's the deal. Whenever you have intellectual growth or any kind of growth, there's going to at first be a challenge. And this is your challenge, to do a problem that you're like, I have no idea how to get it done. And so what I'm going to do is now give you information. You've all noticed that we have 10 fingers, right? And that's totally related to the way we count and the way we organize our numbers. This is literally the reason why we have base 10. Why everything we do is based on the number 10. Like why we have 10 digits, right? We have 10 digits from 0 to 9 would be 10 digits that we use when we count. And in fact, the beautiful thing about our number system is that we can write every possible number that we could think of using these 10 digits. So you remember this, right? Ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands place. We can keep going. If I wanted to write the number 5, I'd probably put the number 5 here. If I wanted to write the number 10, I don't have a digit 10, but what I do is I say, oh, after I get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, when I go higher, when I go up 1, I have to go over to the tens digit and say I have 1, 10, and 0 ones, which is the number 10 that we're used to, right? And if I went through all of the digits that I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? After I got to 9 tens, if I had 10 tens, I don't put a 10 here because we don't have a digit 10, but we would move the 1 over here. And if I had 10 tens, I really have 100 and 0 tens and 0 ones. Yeah, this is familiar. This is our base 10 logic, okay? So what happens if we were like one of those cartoon animations where we had 4 fingers on each finger? Okay, I know that these are like 2 right or left hands, but my point is taken. What if we grew up in a place or we were born with 4 fingers on each hand? Then we would be dealing with base 8. So let's move base 10 over for a minute and consider a life where our hands look like these. Okay, it's not really a great drawing. I didn't say I was an artist, but let's consider if we did live in a world where we only had 8 fingers, and so we dealt with base 8. What would that be like? If we followed the analogy of base 10 up here, remember we had 10 digits, with base 8, we'd only have 8 digits. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 8 digits, 8 different numbers to represent every number that we're going to deal with in base 8. Okay, this is getting confusing. Let me try to organize it. So we'd have the ones place, and then we'd have the eights place, because like we had the ones, then the tens, we got 10 fingers. Okay, so the ones place, then the eights place, but what will be next? For us to kind of think about that, we need to really think about where our numbers come from. So when we think about our numbers back in base 10, or I guess I should say our numerical system based in base 10, this is like 10 to the 0 power. 10 to the 0 power is 1. I know you looking at me cross-eyed, but just stay with me. 10 to the 1 power is 10. 10 to the second power is 100. 10 to the third power gives me the thousands place, so forth and so on. We could also do the decimal thing, but that's not what we're doing now. Okay, so if we take that idea, let's go back to the base 8. So this would be like 8 to the 0, which is 1. This is 8 to the first power, which would give me groups of 8. This is 8 to the second power. So I'd have 64ths. Yes, we'd have like the 64th place. And then we'd have 8 to the third power, which would be the whatever 8 times 8 times 8 is. Okay, so with that in mind, let's think about how numbers would be written. So I could go like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But as soon as I got to 7 and I wanted to go to the next number, I'd have to get 1, 8 and node ones. And then the number 8 looks like 10. Are you with me? It's kind of funky, right? So the number 8 looks like 10 in base 8. Okay, let me play a game with you real quick. Tell me if you can. I can't really play because we're not really together, but tell me if you can tell me what the number 21 in base 8 would be. So if I'm dealing with base 8 and I had the number 21, what number would that be? I've got two 8s, 16, plus 1. In base 10, the number 21, okay, the number 21 in base 8 would be 17 in base 10. Oh, you kind of like it. It's kind of cool. Let's try another base. No, these aren't bunny ears. They're 2 fingers on each hand. If that was the world we were born into, if that's how we were, then we'd be dealing with base 4. So we'd have 4 digits that we deal with: 0, 1, 2, and 3. Those are the 4 digits we deal with. So our ones column can go all the way up to 3, but then as soon as we get from the ones column and we needed to get to the next number, which is 4, we'd have to go to the fours column, right? Okay, I said there's no number 4, so I need to write that down. So we'd have to go to the fourths column. I know y'all looking at me crazy. Fourths column. Okay, I'm trying. And then after the fourths column, remember this is 4 to the 0. This will be 4 to the 1. This will be 4 to the 2. This would be the 16ths column. So as a quick test to see if you know what we're doing, what if I had the number 123 base 4? So base 4, 123 is really 3 ones, 2 fourths, and 1 16. And when I add all of that together, I get 16, 16, 32 plus 32, 33. I get the number 35. So base, let me write it out for you. Base 4, the number 123, is equal to the number we're used to in base 10, which is 35. And I'm going to try to be all consistent in everything and change this to black, so you know that when I'm dealing with black, I'm talking about base 10. Is that cool? Okay, so here's my other question for you. And after this, I think you might have enough information to at least start thinking about the problem. And if you can do that, you can actually do some research to get the answer. And I'm going to make this is going to be a big prize. Okay, that was my like Trump impression. Okay, this is going to be a pretty big prize for me, maybe $1 or even 2. Okay, I'll keep that to myself. Okay, so here's what it is. How am I going to write base 10, the number 43 in base 10, the number 43 that we're used to, and change that to what number in base 4? Like, what number would it be in base 4? So that's our question. We're going to answer that now. So these are the place values. 4 to the 0 would be 1s, 4 to the 1 would be 4s, 4 to the second would be 16s, and 4 to the third would be 64ths. These are the place values, and I need to figure out what is the first place value that I'm going to need. Can I use 64ths? No, because I only have 43, but I can use 16s. How many 16s go into 43? At least 2, or at most 2. I couldn't put 3 in there. So now that's 32. How many more numbers can I put in there? How many 4s can I put in there? And I think I can do 2 4s. That brings me to 8 more, which is 40. How many more do I need to get to 43? You guessed it, 3. So the number 223 in base 4 is the number 43 in base 10.